I wasn't a high school graduate, and I quit, and I couldn't pass American government. I just had this thing in my head that I could not pass American government. And right now I'm quite politically active. I've been working on political campaigns since the early 80s, and I'm quite invested in the voice of our country and the world. And so I would say, believe in yourself and don't quit. I didn't believe in myself, and I told myself a story that I couldn't pass an American government test, and so I quit. And I took the easy way and got my GED, but I was like, no, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I didn't go to college. I didn't get any degrees. And so I said that would be probably the one thing that I would say I failed at, not believing in myself early enough, living in the stories that I wasn't good enough or I couldn't do it, and I should have just persevered and just at least tried.
Welcome to The Roll Call, the podcast where we dive into the roles that define us. I'm your host, John Glahn. On each episode, we explore the journeys of people discovering their true roles in life, business, and beyond. Get ready for inspiring conversations about finding purpose and authenticity. Let's roll the roll call. Welcome, everyone. I have with me Kathy Mayfield, we just talking about what kind of title. And I would say she is the leader extraordinaire, runs the whole show for Bloom Growth Software. And I have her here today with me because of what she has done for me in my most recent career. Saw things in me, saw things in my people that has really propelled us into doing what we love. She is the reason that I am a Bloom Growth coach today. She's the reason that I am jumping into that and celebrating that. She is, I want to use the word savant, but that's she sees things in the future. She sees things in people. And I just was been dying to have her on here. So, Kathy, welcome. And I am John Glahn, the host. And so we are all accounted for. So let's start the roll call.
Yeah, thanks, John, for having me. It's a privilege and a pleasure to spend time with you today.
Awesome. And right back at you. So, what we like to talk about are the roles that we play. And that goes into at home, at work, and everything in between. And I know we could riff for probably hours on your story about how we got here, about how you got where you are, because your career path was not intended, or it wasn't like to start, hey, I'm running a multi-million-dollar company. So where would you like to start with how you got in your role today?
Sheer luck and crazy, just met an entrepreneur that I really wanted to help. I just wanted to help somebody live their life and the best version of their life. And when I met that human being 11 years ago, I had no idea that this entrepreneurial environment existed. I had no idea that these crazy people that made small business go around were struggling and were hungry to make the world better. And when I met this human being, I said, I can really help this guy. I can really help him. And then in turn, he found a way to help me too. And so it's been quite the journey to be a true servant to help people. And then in turn, I get what I want. And so it's been a lot of fun and a crazy ride, to say the least.
Yeah, and I know you were vague in some of those aspects, but to be more clear, when you started this process, you were an executive assistant.
I was an executive assistant.
And, that's... it's not a common story to hear that and to where you are today. And so I'd love to go, deeper, because we talked a little earlier today about, you did so much to help your person, and that now he's on his way, and now you're here to help everyone else shine. And so how did you... And I know there's been a lot of self-reflection. There's a lot beyond the layers here too to get where you are today, in the confidence to be where you are today. But share with us how your roles changed. As far back as you want to go, but how the roles changed, and how did it impact you?
Wow. So the role changed, I really just wanted to make some mad cash. I really met somebody that was willing to pay me to do things that I was really good at and that he was not great at. And when I met that person, I was like, well, I'm going to clock in, I'm going to clock out, I'm going to do the things that I need to do to make this money to support my hobbies, which were horses at the time. And I found a joy in seeing somebody truly succeed. And then how he was able to elevate and do the things that he was really good at allowed me to shine and do the things I was really good at. And we complemented each other. And it became this partnership. And I never experienced that in a professional relationship before, a true partnership. And I was like, wow, I think I can do more. And that was my mistake, was doing more.
Doing more.
Doing more. Was I could do more. I could take more off his plate. I could see things that needed. I was more proactive in helping him grow his life and his business. And so as an entrepreneur, I had no clue that there were multiple irons in the fire. And when those irons in the fire started to succeed and he started to get this flywheel going, I was like, oh, I can make more money. Oh, I can add more value over here. Oh, I can help do this over here. Oh, I can actually free up time over here. And I didn't realize when I was adding more value, my worth was increasing. And so as my worth increased and my own value and my own contributions increased to help that person grow his businesses, he wanted to invest in something else, which happened to be a software company. And they were not doers. I was a master doer, and he was not with his partners. They were not doers. And so I just sat as this unpaid person helping a software company execute. And so in one of your other episodes, you were talking about assessments, and I remembered all the assessments. Like, I've done 1 million of them. And then this one came to me, and I think this is where I met you, John, was in Working Genius.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I said, holy cow, I can actually own my elevation of work and see where that adds value to people. And so it really became an epiphany for me when I realized that by doing less, allowed others to do more. It allowed me to live in my joy and my unique ability. I added more value. My flywheel started to spin, and I got really good at finding out where I wasn't good, and then I could take those things off my plate, delegate them to somebody else, and then they started to add value, and we began this flywheel of execution that was precise, and I love precision. And so when the entrepreneur succeeded and his partner succeeded, and then I started to grow teams, and I thought, man, most people would be like, man, I can't just keep adding myself to this issues list as an obstacle and a barrier to the business's growth. But I realized the more that I did that, the more the company succeeded. And so most people would be intimidated. And you spoke about confidence, and this is probably where the confidence came. Like, I just didn't want the thing to fail. And I was like, I don't want to be the gap and the obstacle to having that thing fail. And so I'm just going to speak up. And if the chips fall and I'm not part of the thing, it's in the best interest of the whole. And so I just kept doing that. Just said, nope, you don't want me to do sales. You don't want me to do support. I might not want to do this. You might not want me to do that. And the more I did that, the more the company succeeded, the more the entrepreneurs succeeded, the more the company started to increase revenue, and the flywheel just kept going.
You know, there's a couple nuggets in there. You know, one is, and we're going to come back to Working Genius, trust me. You know, going from a doing and a doer, right? That's your badge of most people, right? Once you become known to do that, that's your badge of honor, and that becomes what you do. And you know, people hand things to you knowing that all the shit just falls down to the person that gets stuff done. Your geniuses, which we're going to get to, are my frustrations. And so that would absolutely be like, oh, that's you have a superpower that I don't. And so everything just flows down to you. And so one, to go from that to where you just mentioned, wait a minute, I'm giving things off to other people. That is not normal. Because you're enablement and tenacity, Working Genius. That's not normal for that style. And that means And that's not demeaning, I hope not to anyone. No. That just means there's a self-awareness that you have. What's that self-awareness to know where you're strong? And it's not just the working genius part, right? There's a lot more work that you've done around that. So, when and where do you think your self-awareness really started clicking? Was it early on, or is it as you've grown?
Yeah. So I think in the last 8 to 10 years, I would say that somebody came to me and they said, Kathy, you're an excellent doer. Like, you are the master. Like, I can give you anything to do, and it gets done precisely, with excellence, on time, under budget, but you're not scalable. And if you want to grow a business, and you want to help me grow a business, we got to find a way for you to be scalable. You're not replicable. One person is not replicable. So what can we do to help grow more of you? To grow more people that care deeply for the company, care deeply for the mission that we're up against, care deeply for the people that you're engaged with, such that the company can grow faster. Because we can only grow as fast as you're able to hand off things. And that was where I had my aha moment, was like, okay, I can't do everything. I can try, but the company will just stay stagnant. And if I want the company to grow, and I truly want to be about the big things in the world that we're all up to, then I'm going to have to find a way to build a team around me and be okay not being good at everything. And so it took some personal reflection. It took some humility to say, okay, I actually am not good at that. I actually suck at that. You don't want me doing sales. Yeah. But it took something for me to actually do that. And it was helpful that I had learned to build a team around me that would, when they looked good, I looked good. When I helped them succeed, then I in turn succeeded. So it became a community instead of just a me.
And that's the golden nugget, right? The who's that we can put around us. With your permission, I would love to talk about Working Genius and really our journey, well, your journey, just me getting the blessing to be a part of it. When you first took Working Genius, the assessment, and when we first met, you had, I believe you were a galvanizing and tenacity, maybe. Yeah. And we had multiple sessions, and one, right, our connection was that first time. And for everyone's sake, we had a follow-up meeting, and she said, we will be, and we were on virtual, but it was literally, I could feel her look, and we are going to be doing something together. And that foresight has carried over to multiple different times that when we've met, that, you could see things happening. But that first time when you had, with galvanizing and tenacity, and then we talked through what the real nuts and bolts of Working Genius, not just the high level. You see the assessment. We talked through everything, and you had come to me and said, just something isn't feeling right. And share your version of where we went to from there, or how you were feeling at that moment, et cetera.
Yeah, I think I was a little lost. Like, I think I was living in a space where I thought, I was living in a space where I wanted to fulfill on the things that people expected of me. And so I was answering the questions in the assessment based on what I thought I was expected to do. I was stepping into this big role. I was like, I was considering transitioning into a different organization to help them. And I was like, this is what is expected of me in this role. And I remember talking to you and just saying, this just doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel like my joy is being represented here. Like the things that I innately love to do. And I think I have this expectation of myself to live into the effect of others and what they expect of me. And you really helped me navigate that conversation.
Well, and to be clear, right, your role, which is the one you have today, it was still evolving as we were going through. Yeah. Galvanizing, right, is generally someone who is rallying the troops and getting things done, right? That's the real expectation of it. And as you are the leader, whatever title integrator, second in command, president, whatever, the one getting the company moving forward, taking the plan and moving it forward, you're leading the leadership team.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, bringing it full circle, that's where you feel like, hey, that's what I'm supposed to be good at, right? Where there's supposed to be a working genius, the pairing that fits that job description. And then we decided, okay, well then and this is where it's the key for everyone when they're taking, specifically the working genius assessment. I would hope that everyone can do this for other assessments. But most people are taking it based upon what they think their role should be, what they're supposed to be good at, or what they've gotten good at over time versus what do they really, really enjoy. And so we reset it. We said, okay, now you're going to take it with the lens of true joy and what do you love doing? And then we came up with
enablement and tenacity.
Enablement and tenacity. And then even we talked through that. And there wasn't like when we talked through it, it wasn't like, yep, that's me. There was still some of that guilt, it felt like, on the galvanizer. I'm supposed to be the galvanizer, right? I mean.
Yeah, and I'm good at it.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that's where I find my joy. It doesn't mean that's where I find my innate go-to, blindfolded, on your deathbed, the thing that you're going to do in the last moments of your life. And so when I really re-looked at the assessment going, okay, without the expectations of others, without the predefined bias that I have based on my role as second in command, integrator, COO, president, whatever you call that role, I was looking at the responsibilities and I was like, it doesn't even matter. Like if I had took all the tools away, if I took the assessment away, if I took the responsibilities away and I took the expectations of others away, and I'm sitting there taking the new assessment going, what do I just love to do without all of that? And then I was surprised that it came back. And there was a little guilt involved too, because I'm like, wow, the expectations of people in this position are that you can rally the troops, that you're going to be this creative person, this strategic, high-level thinker, forward thinker, moving, the company 5-10 years down the road. And that's really not where I find my joy. Like, I love checking off my to-do list. I love the actions of doing things. I love the accomplishment and the fulfillment that I get by actually finishing tasks, by enabling others to do their tasks. And so it really became evident as we started to talk. And I was like, there's something here. There is something in this human being. And I do have a gift. I don't know what, and maybe it's just my innate ability to relate to people, but I have this ability to see something in their future and something in their life that they're unable to see for themselves. And so I'm an active listener, and I ask really poignant questions to just find out who these people are. And my family would ask me, how do you know all this stuff about people? Well, I just talk to them. Yeah. How do you not no, but most conversations are superficial. And for me, conversations are about deep connection with people. And so as we started to talk and you were helping me through my own journey of who I am and who I view myself to be and the contributions that I can make for the team, I saw your willingness to help. I saw your willingness to coach through a conversation, to navigate a conversation, to help me explore something for myself. And I said, there's something in this human being that's going to help. And I don't know how it is, but there's going to be some way that this human being is going to help, if not me and my team, my clients and our clients at Bloom, and who they are to the world. And I said, there's something here, and so I'm just going to roll with it. And I just rolled with it and want people to get that it's because I care deeply, and it's because I get to know people deeply that allows me the opportunity to actually hear them. And they say it in the conversations without even realizing what they're saying. Like they're talking about their life without even realizing that they're sharing some of their most intimate, deepest parts of themselves to a complete stranger or a vendor or a partner without realizing it for themselves. And then I just pride myself in being able to relate to those people.
Yeah, I think, and we actually simplified it I think I made it too simple when we came through this and said, obviously a good leader is a self-aware one. There isn't a typecast. And I appreciate you saying you're not high on invention or, looking down the road. And there's a role for that, but the role of an amazing leader is a self-aware one. And when you couple the fact that enablement is one of yours, that's helping, that is, that screams through. And so we were talking through it, right? Your type of leadership is servant leadership, is how can I help you? And that's what endears people to you, and that's what makes you a great leader. And then mentally get over the fact that, yeah, I can galvanize, but I'm not playing that role all the time. And so, that's the nugget for everyone is there, there's no typecast of what it needs to be. And then further down the road, right, you are, as a software company, you are surrounded by creative people, very smart, brilliant people. And I've gotten to witness your realization through, most people think the leader has to be in all the meetings or, all the, thinking big and all those things. And, where are you now with that? I love the ahas that have come through this.
Yeah. I actually, when I had this aha moment, I was so grateful. I actually went and said, thank God. Thank God I don't have to be in those 8-hour strategy planning session days. Thank God I don't have to be in the ideation meetings where my visionaries are going off for like 6 or 7 hours on, we can do this and we can do that because I really want to get into it. Wait, let's take a step back. How can we do this? And I start asking the questions. So when I had this aha epiphany and I went to them and I said, with as much love as I have for you, I'm going to step away from this. I think somebody better suited could be with you navigating the conversations and creating a space where you could just outflow without me wanting to execute and tackle everything. So it freed them up, it freed me up, and it actually added more value to the investment of my salary. They were like, wow, now I don't have you spending 6 hours in meetings that you're just sitting here, because we know, like, we can see it and your eyes start to roll and you're moving on and you're like, can we get lunch now? Is it beer 30 yet? And they're sitting here wanting to go. And so when I had this aha moment, they didn't get to see it. And I think it was when you were with us in Toronto and you did this workshop and we were sitting over drinks afterwards. And my owners, all 3 of them were there, came up and hugged me. And they said, this has been the best insight that we've had in one of our annuals ever. Like, for you to be able to say, hey, I'm not really great over there, and to step out of your own ego, to have somebody go that is better suited to help us navigate those conversations, it actually adds more value because we can do it with them. You can go do that thing over there, and we actually get, like, twice the bang for the buck. So it was quite the transformation for the way that our team and our leadership team and then our managers work.
And that is the humility wrapped around that, not one from you as the top leader, to have that courage to say, because again, most leaders or most leadership teams, they want to be a part of it. They think that they have so much value, whatever it might be, right? Whatever's wrapped around that. They think they need to be a part of it. And again, I'm guilty of that in my own company. But one is to have the humility to say, guys, no, I'll execute the shit out of whatever you come up with.
I thought
and
I was
I trust you.
I thought I was supposed to do that too. Like, I really thought as a leader, like, I have to be sitting in here. I have to be taking the notes. I have to be prepared. I have to know all the things that are going on. And it actually detracted. So if I look back, it actually was slowing the growth of our company down by me not investing the energy where I could go execute faster and get another flywheel spinning faster. Yeah. And so when we had that aha moment, it actually helped us grow faster.
No, that's fantastic. And then it translates, by the way, because your core values, I'm aware of your core values, and that's what drew me into the Bloom Growth operating system community. Your community was, I could feel that all of the leaders saw it, felt it, not just for you, their own place in life. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Where do we fit? And the openness for everyone to say, because again, recall, everyone thinks, most companies, most individuals, leadership teams, they want to be in that strategy session because that's maybe where they're making their mark or how they can move on in the company. Right. And everyone was like, whoa, I know where I can be and I know where I need to be.
That's a trap.
That was just...
It's a trap. So Yeah, so I'm glad that you noticed the core values. The core values are the driving thing in our organization. So we live it, we breathe it. It's not only our company core values, we hire around these core values, we grow partnerships around these core values, and it is at the core of who we are. So throughout the organization, our clients demonstrate similar core values, our partners demonstrate similar core values, and so it truly is how, like, my philosophy is, if I can't invite you over for dinner and have beer and pizza with you, you're probably not going to be somebody that I would want to engage with. And so I just grew the company that way.
Well, and there's the, again, most in the operating system community, whether it's EOS, Pinnacle, Bloom Growth, right, or good companies know the core values, that actually use the core values as they're intended. Most of them are internally focused, right? So the ones that, whether it's, we have our core values and we do hire and fire based on that. And that's, that's probably a baseline that's far and above 80% of the companies in the world. But when you actually put that lens towards the partners that you deal with, your vendors, your clients, how seamless and how, like, that is a retention tool, an unintended retention tool to keep your employees, because then it's not a friction. There isn't friction in outside of the company. And my experience share is with my base company, is one of our number one distributor partners. It was just so difficult. They were just so difficult to deal with. And they've been, it's a partnership that's gone 30 plus years, and we thought we needed them. And I struggled for the past 3 years of just like, they treat my people like shit. It's all about me. And we are like always bowing down, and I, and it's this trap in my head. I was like, well, once we get to a point, we're going to move on. And that's most companies. Once I get to a point, we need this revenue. But we just had a recent situation where we had to part ways, and it was their decision. And that first moment was, what was me? A lot of our revenue, right? But then now it's like everyone is just like, we get to go choose who we do business with. And, again, if people can take the next step of that, and I can say for Bloom's sake, for Bloom operating, for the operating system side, for the coaches, the core values are the first part that we talk about, meaning all the coaches need to match your values, and then it spreads.
It's really interesting because I thought it was, sitting in a planning session, day one, and you're working as a team, identifying your core values. And our ownership came to me and they said, what are you talking about? The core values, the company is not the brick and mortar. It's not the computers that we have. It's not the servers that we have. It's the people. It is the people, and the people want to follow you. And so I said, I'm not visionary. And so I elevated, our owners elevated out in the business. And they were like, this isn't about us. The company's following you, what you're up to in the world, what you're doing in the world. You built this team. And so the coaches are just an extension of our community wanting to help more people. How can we help more people? And how can we bring and shift the narrative where people come to us and they said, I have this PTSD where the culture over at my other company was so bad, and I didn't believe you in the interview process. And I said, you're not the first one, but how can we shift that narrative where businesses are not expected to be toxic? They're expected to be healthy and joyful and fun and in alignment. And how can you choose when you're taking on a role? Are these the people that I want to invest 40 plus hours of work with? Like, how do I want to grow the world? How do I want to impact my community? How do I want to impact my family? And so how can we bring that to business leaders and their teams so we're not having this PTSD around culture and core values and toxicity and drama triangles and victimhood and victimization in the workplace? I'm on a mission.
So good. No, I know it, and I love it. You will succeed. You are succeeding. Let's throw some business aside, and let's talk about your roles in personal life.
Oh, yeah.
I know. Obviously, I know you do some fun side things with your husband, still business wise, and I know you spend some time elsewhere in your personal life.
Yeah.
as a
I
role.
didn't realize that I wanted to be an entrepreneur either. And so I met this entrepreneur 11 years ago, and I have had a commitment and a passion for the last 25 years with a small rural community that we're engaged with, that we now live in. And we are bringing sustainable, viable housing to low and middle income families there. So 1 or 2 houses at a time, making affordable housing available to low and middle income families that typically couldn't afford to buy a house, would never experience generational wealth. So taking homes that would typically be torn down and leveled and the land used for nothing. The bank gives us those properties. So we buy them pennies on the dollar. We fully restore them, bring them to a sustainable infrastructure so that families can move in and keep tax revenue, keep jobs, keep the community sustainable and viable right there. Most people can't afford to, do the roof or do the furnace, and so we help them gain grants, and I help the local community, and I help the village board apply for grants to bring clean water, bring home improvements, infrastructure into this rural community in central Illinois. So it's agricultural community. I'm on a mission to consume the empty lots and put community gardens there. So there's no food deserts. We live in an agricultural community, and people go to Walmart to buy their food. And I just think, why are we not growing our food and giving it to people?
Wow, when you started it, and my initial understanding even back when was you're flipping houses, right? That's
Flipping houses,
that's
yeah.
what not many. That's not what you're doing at all.
No.
You're not.
Well, we're not philanthropists. We do want to make a profit on it, right, but we want to give back to the community. And so while people will think that, you're just flipping a house, no, there's much more to that. We're teaching local people how to do the trades. Like my husband is in the trades, and he was in the trades for many years, and he's now retired. And so he's bringing this education back to the community. So, blue-collar jobs are available to people. So they're learning how to lay tile and how to paint and how to do plumbing and electric work and HVAC and roofing and gutters and windows. And I was like, holy cow, I didn't even know what a glazier was until I had to do windows in a house. And so learning how to keep those jobs in the community so people don't have to move to a more urban area to live, they keep their families right there, and then it brings low-cost services to the community right back into the community.
Well, no, that's the other thing. I mean, you said you're still doing it for profit, but your intention is not profit only, right? It's there's still a barrier or a cap that you're on your profit, right? By choice.
There is.
Right?
We keep our most expensive home sold for $150,000. We buy them for $10,000 or $15,000, put $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in, turn them for a profit, and then invest more. So it's about giving back to the community, building the community up so people stay, and so we don't have the blight in rural America. When you go to a small town and you see the main street just closed up and boarded up, I want to bring that back. I want to bring small to medium-sized business back to rural middle America so that and there's a place for big box stores. There's a place for Costco and Sam's Club, but there's also a place for the mom and pop shop, the small family-owned business, the small car dealership, the small grocery store, the small, clothing store, shoe store, arts and crafts store right there in the neighborhood, so people so they're not taking the revenue out of the community. They're keeping it right there in the community.
I think this is a whole other episode too, probably, but we're both Midwestern. I grew up in rural Indiana, and I've spent majority of my professional career in the area. That's Ohio, Michigan, whatnot. Small towns, and it's amazing when you see the small towns that used to thrive because it was in industry in the Rust Belt here, right? And as that has gone away, as it all was offshored years and years and years ago to Mexico or China, wherever, it is heartbreaking to see those towns, and thankfully mine wasn't all tied to industry. There's some tourism in there as well, but when that makes up the majority of the workforce, and then that goes away, and this is going back 50 years, those little towns die off, and there's no identity. And so, one, to your point, we have to have people living in those communities that are making money within that community to keep that self-sustaining. So it's not a one size fits all. It's not, and thankfully that there's a ton of onshoring going on now, and I hope it's not just the large semiconductor, the huge things. I hope that it's getting back into the local communities.
Yeah, that's what they wanted to bring, a data center. And I was like, data center? Let's bring back, how about we teach entrepreneurship in the school? How about we bring, entrepreneurship books and education into the library and into the community center? How about we teach kids how to open an Etsy store where they're taking their crafts and they're learning how to sell them and how to market themselves? And I just don't want to cookie cutter things. I want people to be able to choose, hey, for me, maybe this is great.
Think independently.
Yeah. Autonomously, independently, and whatever works for them. But I want them to understand that there's choice, that whatever you choose for yourself, I want them to have access to the choice. And right now, I don't think the rural community that I live in, it's getting better. They wanted me to run for mayor, and I was like, no. They wanted me to run for the village board, and I was like, no. And I'm like, oh man, how much more can I impact? Do you want me to do this over here? Do you want me to do this over here? But I just didn't have the capacity to do all the things. So I said, well, how about I help you figure this out, and I can do more houses, and we can bring more trades in, but I can bring outside educators in to teach entrepreneurship, to teach art, to teach music, to get piano lessons. My husband's a guitar player and a guitar builder, and he's like, well, I can just do a class down at the community center, and I can just do this, but I don't know how to garden, and I'm not good at it, so I don't like it. And so I was like, well, how do we bring this back? I can buy the land, and I can buy the lots that you're tearing these houses down, and we could bring food back into an agricultural community where people understand, hey, I can actually make a business out of this. I can actually sell this farm to table restaurants, fresh food, put a couple of greenhouses up, and let's see how we can have the local communities grow fresh food, so we're not eating fried, processed food, in an agricultural community that's growing the food for the world.
It's and we had this conversation before, right? Quote unquote invention is, I believe, a frustration for you, right? Or but in the right setting. I mean, anyone just listen to what vision just spewed from you, right? So in the right setting that is serving the right things, you absolutely are a visionary.
Yeah, it is a passion that it is my passion that people get to live in a harmonious world without judgment and free to choose for themselves, whatever that is, right? But a harmonious world where you have choice, and people don't have choice about housing. I don't think anybody in America should be homeless. I don't think anybody in America, anybody in the world should be homeless or go hungry or not have access to clean water or not have access to at least provide that for themselves, right? So how can I educate people how to grow their own food? Maybe they don't want the handout, so maybe they don't want to go to the food pantry, but how can we put food available to people so they don't live with the stigma of going to a food pantry or, hey, I don't, and they're not, I'm transport. I can go and I don't have an ego. And if I was struggling, and I would be able to go and say, hey, I want help and I need help. But a lot of people don't know how to do that. So how can we provide this to them without them feeling this pressure of not living up to somebody else's expectations? So this is my passion, is to bring freedom of choice to the world.
That's incredible. There are so many cool stories that I remember you telling me, but then this isn't really I like to, and I need to come up with a better word, by the way. So I'll take your inputs. I like people to learn from, failure is the word, mistake, mishap, or something that happened that was maybe felt catastrophic in the moment, that you learn from. A good example in your life.
I wasn't a high school graduate, and I quit, and I couldn't pass American government. I just had this thing in my head that I could not pass American government. And right now I'm quite politically active. I've been working on political campaigns since the early 80s, and I'm quite invested in the voice of our country and the world. And so I would say, believe in yourself and don't quit. I didn't believe in myself, and I told myself a story that I couldn't pass an American government test, and so I quit. And I took the easy way and got my GED, but I was like, no, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I didn't go to college. I didn't get any degrees. And so I said that would be probably the one thing that I would say I failed at, not believing in myself early enough, living in the stories that I wasn't good enough or I couldn't do it, and I should have just persevered and just at least tried. Maybe it was 5 minutes too soon to quit.
Well, to be clear, and knowing a little more about that story, right? That necessarily wasn't your story.
My story, yeah.
That was told to you, right? That was a learned story,
Yep.
and that's the narrative that that constantly comes up is that narrative. And I want to, not that I'm shooting a PBS commercial or something, but like the motivational side of this is what you just said, right? I didn't graduate. I have a GED. And then what we ended with is you are running a multi-million-dollar software company.
Yeah.
You are changing and impacting an entire community. We didn't even get to the role that you get to play as a grandmother on a personal level because you create the time to do so. So absolute inspiration. And I'm so happy that you joined us. I know you have a team that handles getting in touch with you for Bloom Growth and the other things you do, but is there a means of communication that you want to send people to, or any awareness that you'd like to have for people to know about Bloom and or the things you're doing in your community?
Yeah, Bloom is committed to helping entrepreneurs and their teams. So if you want to learn more about Bloom and what we want to make available, I would just go to our website, bloomgrowth.com. If you want to talk to a coach and you're like, hey, none of these things work out and I don't know what to do, just reach out. Go to bloomgrowth.com and somebody on my team can get you connected with a coach. All I want to do is help entrepreneurs and their teams. And so however I can do that, get people connected to either software or a coach or books or whatever it is that they need to help them, then just go to bloomgrowth.com and somebody on the team can get you connected with the right people.
Awesome. Well, Kathy, this was some fun. I always love jamming with you, but this was extra fun. So thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me.
That's it. We'll call that a wrap.
Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in to The Roll Call with John Glahn. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe for more insightful conversations. Remember, discovering your true role in life is a journey worth exploring each and every day. Until next time, keep defining your path and living your authentic self. This is John Glahn signing off.